On April 22, 2025, a chilling silence descended upon the pristine Beran Valley in Pahalgam. Then, it shattered. 5 merciless gunmen, cloaked in the shadows, unleashed an inferno on unsuspecting tourists. The entire nation paused. There was a shared sense of loss, not only for the lives affected, but for the peace that had been disturbed. People everywhere felt the weight of the moment, their sorrow quickly turning into a powerful demand for justice and safety. The days that followed were filled with questions. How could this have happened? What would the government do next? From social media to the streets, the call for a decisive response grew louder with each passing hour. And then, nearly 2 weeks later, the government launched a major response under a new operation, aiming to restore confidence and send a clear message across the country. This chapter, known by its special codename, became the center of national discussion and political debate, sparking new conversations about security, unity, and resilience. Even today, the memory of what happened in Pahalgam remains a reminder, not just of loss, but of how the country can come together in moments of crisis. The valley stands as both a symbol of grief and a testament to the nation's enduring spirit. The retaliation, Operation Synindor, amped the government's unwavering roar. In the pre-dawn hours of May 7, 2025, the silence was broken not by terror, but by thunder. India launched its counterstrike. The government heralded Operation Synindor as a focused, measured, and non-escalatory military masterpiece. The targets? Terror's very backbone. Training camps belonging to Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, those terror nurseries that had poisoned Indian soil for too long. This wasn't about attacking Pakistan's army or its people, but surgical strikes on the architects of hate. Inside Parliament, the government presented a united, unshakable front, each minister thundering a narrative of strength, decisive action, and glorious success. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh stood tall, declaring the core strike was over in a blistering 22 minutes. He proclaimed a significant number of terrorists neutralized, hailing India's decisive strength, moral clarity, and political maturity. He fiercely debunked claims of Indian casualties or jet losses, insisting the operation paused, only because Pakistan appealed for a halt, not due to any external pressure. His final warning? This operation will resume if Pakistan dares another misadventure. Home Minister Amit Shah roared approval for Operation Synindor and unveiled Operation Mahadev, confirming the masterminds of Pahalgam were eliminated, including top Lashkar-e-Taiba commanders. Shah, unleashing a political broadside, accused the opposition of shielding Pakistan and prioritizing vote bank politics. He directly challenged, "If you had to cry, you should have done that for Shahid Mohan Sharma and not the Butler House terrorists," a direct, scorching jab at Congress. He flatly declared, "Pakistan is Congress's mistake," linking historical blunders to present-day terror. Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself, with powerful gravitas, declared the armed forces were given absolute, complete freedom to act. He categorically dismissed Rahul Gandhi's ceasefire claims, asserting that no world leader had asked India to stop. Pakistan, he maintained, was on its knees and sued for peace, an unyielding assertion of India's dominance. The Prime Minister's message was unambiguous. Operation Synindor has set a new permanent standard for counterterrorism, a standard that will endure until terrorism is utterly wiped out. The government's message echoed, India had avenged its citizens, asserted its power, and would never again tolerate terror. But this triumphant narrative was about to face a volcanic eruption from the opposition on the floor of Parliament. Let's now analyze the accusation, the political firestorm and the opposition's scathing dissent under fire. The true battleground, it turned out, wasn't on the border. It was inside the very heart of India's democracy, the Lok Sabha. The opposition, spearheaded by a defiant Rahul Gandhi, unleashed a blistering counter-narrative that government critics instantly labeled as undermining national morale and aiding the enemy's propaganda. Gandhi's attack wasn't subtle. It was a head-on collision. Rahul Gandhi's shocking allegations. He scoffed that Operation Synindor was less about national security and more about protecting the Prime Minister's image after a colossal security lapse. He pointedly questioned the government's own timeline. If Pakistan was truly on its knees, he challenged, why did the operation last only 22 minutes? Then came the dagger blow. Why, he demanded, did India's Director General of Military Operations call his Pakistani counterpart at 1:35 a.m., right after the strikes began, to say India didn't want to escalate? Gandhi branded this a humiliating immediate surrender, but his most explosive charge targeted foreign intervention. In a move deemed utterly irresponsible and diplomatically reckless by the Treasury benches, he referenced persistent suggestions from Washington about U.S. involvement in cooling tensions. He then dared the Prime Minister to stand in Parliament and call the American president a liar for hinting at mediation, a demand that infuriated the government, who saw it as a direct affront to India's diplomatic autonomy and a dangerous precedent. Other opposition leaders joined the chorus, fanning the flames of controversy. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra didn't hold back, squarely blaming the government's irresponsibility for the Pahalgam attack and PM Modi for allowing a US president to announce India's ceasefire. She also lashed out at Amit Shah for deflecting with irrelevant historical jibes. Gaurav Gogoi pounded the government on intelligence failures, demanding answers. How did terrorists reach Pahalgam? He further fueled the fire by raising alarms over unsubstantiated Pakistani claims of having shot down Indian fighter jets, demanding government transparency on alleged losses. Akhilesh Yadav, Samajwadi Party, added his voice to the growing questions about alleged IAF jet losses and the dubious timing of eliminating Pahalgam terrorists post-operation. Mallikarjun Kharge, leader of opposition, Rajya Sabha, vehemently demanded PM Modi's physical presence in the Rajya Sabha for a direct reply, accusing the government of insulting the very dignity of the House by his absence. For the ruling party, this wasn't mere oversight. It was a calculated, treacherous attempt to politicize a hard-won national security victory. The opposition's core charge was a shocking one, that the government was deliberately hiding the truth, not just about the operation's effectiveness, but about a secret ceasefire deal brokered by the United States, thereby creating a narrative that fueled distrust during a critical national moment. Now let's investigate the layers of truth. This parliamentary brawl didn't just create two clashing realities, it ripped open a chasm of doubt. So, what's the truth hidden beneath the political noise? Let's peel back the layers. First, the tantalizing question, was there a secret, US-brokered ceasefire? The Indian government's denial was absolute, unwavering, and forceful. Both Prime Minister Modi and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar were categorical. The Prime Minister unequivocally stated that no world leader had ever asked India to stop. Jaishankar, with sharp diplomatic precision, confirmed there was no direct contact between the Indian PM and the US President during the crisis, and emphasized, blood and water will not flow together, firmly rejecting any weakness. The official Indian stance remained firm. Pakistan, reeling from the strikes, was the one who sued for peace. However, international diplomacy is a labyrinth of shadows and whispers. While India publicly denied any formal mediation, multiple international reports and US State Department statements confirmed intense, high-level back-channel diplomacy from both the US and UK. Their goal was undeniably to de-escalate the crisis and pull two nuclear powers back from the precipice. The US Secretary of State and Vice President were confirmed to have been in constant contact with officials from both nations. So, while there may not have been a direct ceasefire order, it's undeniable that intense international pressure to stand down was a major, unspoken factor in the crisis's swift de-escalation. Second, the operation's success. The government painted it as an unqualified triumph, hitting 100% of its targets. But the opposition's relentless questions about its short duration and the ghostly claims of lost aircraft clouded the victorious narrative. Pakistan did claim it shot down Indian jets, a claim that, regardless of its truth, instantly became political ammunition for the Indian opposition. It is crucial to state, however, that no credible evidence or neutral source has ever corroborated this Pakistani allegation. It remains an unsubstantiated claim, a weaponized rumor in a raging information war. The war of narratives amped the opposition's position under relentless fire. Ultimately, the explosive showdown in Parliament transcended a mere debate. It became a fierce battle for political control and the very soul of the nation's narrative. The government projected an image of a strong, unyielding new India, one that would never bow to terrorism or succumb to international pressure. Ministers relentlessly hammered the opposition. Accusations of demoralization. They repeatedly charged the opposition, and specifically Rahul Gandhi, with demoralizing the armed forces at a critical time. Echoing enemy propaganda. The most potent accusation was that the opposition, for cynical political gain, was echoing Pakistan's propaganda and amplifying its false narratives. BJP MP Anurag Thakur, in a scathing, no-holds-barred attack, even branded Rahul Gandhi as Lob, leader opposing Bharat, arguing that his rhetoric consistently opposed India's stance and aligned with Pakistan's. Prioritizing politics over nation, Home Minister Amit Shah unequivocally stated that the opposition's crying should be for Indian martyrs, not for terrorists, accusing them of prioritizing appeasement over national security. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, while denying US mediation, also took a sharp dig at Congress for being uncomfortable with history. When they brought up past treaties, reinforcing the government's narrative of strong, consistent foreign policy. The opposition, conversely, framed its role as a sacred patriotic duty. They argued they were demanding accountability for what they saw as a catastrophic intelligence failure in Pahalgam and a glaring lack of transparency from the government. Questioning the government's decisions, they asserted, isn't the same as questioning the military's bravery. However, the government masterfully spun the narrative that, regardless of intent, the timing and nature of these questions during a national security event were deeply irresponsible and served to fundamentally undermine national unity. This deep political chasm was thrown into sharp relief by a strange, telling subplot involving Congress MP Shashi Tharoor. After reportedly praising the government's handling of the crisis, he was conspicuously absent from the Congress speaker's list during the debate, leading the BJP to mock the opposition for stifling its own voices. When directly confronted by the media, Tharoor's only response was a cryptic vow of silence. This wasn't just a debate, it was a clash over the very definition of patriotism in a democracy, with the opposition's tactics frequently painted as divisive and anti-national. The parliamentary debate over Operation Synindor ripped open the deep fault lines in modern Indian politics, exposing raw nerves and stark ideological divides. A moment that began with national unity and grief quickly fractured into a bitter partisan war. The government claimed a decisive victory against terror, asserting its strength on the world stage. The opposition raised sharp questions about accountability, transparency, and the hidden role of foreign influence, but often found itself constantly on the defensive against powerful accusations of undermining national interest and actively politicizing a sensitive security operation. This entire episode forces us to confront a tough, uncomfortable question for any democracy. How do we balance the absolute necessity for secrecy and swift action in national security with the fundamental principles of open debate and government accountability? The war of words over Operation Synindor was as fierce as the military operation itself, with both sides fighting desperately to control the story, to control your perception. The full truth perhaps remains buried somewhere in the details that were drowned out by the thunderous political noise. But what do you think? Was this a necessary debate to hold the government accountable? Or did the opposition, particularly Rahul Gandhi, cross an unforgivable line by politicizing national security and seemingly aiding hostile narratives? Let me know your thoughts, your outrage, your perspective in the comments below. Like this video if you want more unfiltered truths, share it to spark the debate, and subscribe to KanoonPlus channel and join our community for more deeper stories that truly matter. Hope to see you again. Goodbye and adios.